Good morning, everyone. It is September 16th, 2022. It is now 3:30 a.m. Why are we commenting on current issues at this time? The Rotary Club had its usual dinner last night. I was invited to be the guest speaker. The topic of the talk was money comes naturally with the right mind, not the direction in which to make money, as the general public talks about how to make money proactively. Last night, the Rotarians and my students had an epiphany after listening. Actually, what I mean is the money comes to you automatically. Simply put, it is a matter of having divine help. So this is rather profound and somewhat mysterious. Because when normal people speak of God, it is a supernatural force from outside, a being of unknown origin, a supernatural being who helps us. Many people misunderstand the meaning of this. Actually, everyone has that ability. We have just forgotten or do not know it. So therefore, there is no way to use this power. I gave a simple example to enable the audience to have a fresh perspective. I am here to share with you. You are God. The saints Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Confucius, the Hindu Shankara and Muhammad, all have the power of God and are worshipped by people, proving that God is a human being. So if they were, and we are all human beings, why cannot we be like them and become gods? Because we do not use the elements of God. If we do not use it, we cannot become gods. In fact, the key to being like God is sincerity and benevolence. That is why the Jewish people live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Sincerity is the force that makes things happen. So what is sincerity? It is difficult to be sincere if you do not have the quality within yourself. In fact, every human being has this quality within themselves. This is the power of the divine. For example, it is because of Guan Yu's loyalty that various Guandi temples have been built. It all comes from a human being. We all have this ability. It is just that we do not use it. When I was young, I was guided by a master. Last night's topic was about the Chinese almanac. The Chinese almanac has a saying about God. It is better to seek righteously than to seek in an unscrupulous manner. making friends and doing business in an honourable manner. There is no need to be underhanded. For example, if a travel agency offers a tour to Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, it costs at least $4,000 to $5,000, but they advertise a tour fee of about $1,900. This is true in many industries. When you go to the agency to sign up, the tour is apparently full. This is not the case and is just a marketing ploy. Insurance agents are very attentive to new clients. However, after signing a policy, calls for assistance are ignored. This used to be the case with cable TV. When the customer wanted to cancel the account, they would be obstructed. In these examples, there is no sincerity at all. So how could there be any divine help? Last night's talk was a revelation to the audience. It is really quite simple. Sunlight, water and air, they cost nothing. You rely on them every day, but no one values them. This is the material world. But then morality and virtuous conduct, this belongs to the world of sensibility. The world of sensibility is powerful. Whether the client chooses to do business with you or not, and whether they value you for a long-term relationship, the power of God is involved here, because it is your sincerity that touches their hearts. All in a single thought. So why are these topics being discussed in today's commentaries? Today we observe that the Chinese Communist Party is eager to salvage the situation. But it does not understand the importance of sincerity and benevolence. I will share some pictures later. President Xi went to Uzbekistan to meet with Putin. The president of Mongolia was also there with Xi and Putin. The press photo was taken and no one was wearing a mask, including President Xi. Seeing this, the Hong Kong SAR government should know what to do. Right? The president does not wear a mask even during international gatherings. So what is the Hong Kong government still hesitating about? It proves that the pandemic is not so serious anymore. Even if it exists, there is nothing to fear. If the CCP wants to turn the tide against China, the CCP must stick to the principle of sincerity. Firstly, it must be trustworthy. The second is punctuality and respect for the spirit of the contract. Only people can be punctual. Animals cannot do it. Punctuality is the first step to sincerity. If you are not punctual and do not respect the spirit of the contract, how can you move forward with the help of God? The CCP is committed to the rule of man over God. The damage caused is even worse. To advocate atheism is to lose oneself. Because God is the metamorphosis of man, and atheism is the loss of oneself. In the end, it will destroy mankind and leave only ruins. So what the CCP has done is incredibly foolish. It is a completely illogical projection. God is a manifestation of man. Atheism is the destruction of oneself. How can such an incredibly foolish theory exist? Those Marxist, Leninist, Maoist propagandists, if they don't know these things, ask me for advice. Don't brag about it. They are free to choose their own values, but do not affect the destiny of the whole country. influencing the destiny of the party and state. If you read the history of Marx's teacher Hegel, he knocked on the door of mystery but could not push it in. His intellect had reached its limit. If the door was opened, he would have realized communist thought and Buddhism was just a hair's breadth apart. Buddhism already discussed the concepts of dialectical materialism. If you don't believe me, search online for Buddhist logical epistemology. It transcends Western logic. The Buddha had already explained over 2,000 years ago the changes of the fetus every 7 days. That is why, more than 100 years ago, the United States published the paper proclaiming that the Buddha was an alien. Because during his time, it was thought to be impossible to have such power to observe the changes of the fetus. You can look up this history on the internet. In fact, Buddha was not an alien. The Buddha had some special training methods. Everyone is capable of doing it. Buddha opened up the nerve of internal vision. Currently, our eyes look ahead and to the outside. But the eyeball is not responsible for the sense of sight. It only functions as a medium. It is the inner nerve that works to see outside images. Once the internal nerve is fully activated, we can see the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. It is also possible to see the changes in the fetus. The human being is capable of this function. I shared a story with a member of the Rotary Club. 30 years ago in the Gobi Desert, I was attending a conference in the Soviet Union. I met the dean of an Italian college in Rome. He was the dean of a psychological institute. I had a few words with him. I asked him if he had ever followed a dream. He was very surprised to hear that. I said, "Imagine you had a dream and suddenly you woke up, but the dream is not over yet. In what way do you continue to have that dream and see the ending?" He was amazed at what he had heard and thought it was unbelievable. I asked if he knew how to do that. He said no. He talked to me for a long time afterwards. I did not tell him how to do it, because there are certain conditions. You cannot just do it if you want to. Just like you need talent to play basketball and football. You cannot do it otherwise. So for something as simple as that, we have all dreamed about it. How do you follow your dreams? Or continue the dream you had 10 years ago? And then see how the dream ends up. That is a bit deeper. So I hope that if the CCP wants to make a glorious turnaround, they must have God's help. In fact, God is ourselves. It is the party cadres and members of the party. It is also the billion-plus citizens of China. Even animals have their own divine nature. It is ridiculous to advocate atheism. During this time, I observe that there is a crisis, but there is also an improvement. President Xi's speech at the Shanghai Cooperation Organisation summit was read out from a script. He did not have his usual flair and domineering attitude. Maybe he did not dare to be arrogant when he saw Putin. He read it from the script. If that is the case, then given the current situation, since Xi Jinping holds all the power in his hands, as a rule, he does not need to read from a script. Xi can speak on the spot. Because a leader without the ability to give a speech on the spot is not qualified to be a leader. You can see how the speech was delivered on that day. It was most likely crafted by the party Central Committee. From this, we can see that Xi is no longer in control of all power. This is good news for the Chinese people. Such a huge country has many issues requiring attention, but all the power is concentrated in one person, with dozens of working groups, with Xi serving as the head of the working groups and overriding the power of the State Council. Does he really think he is a god? No, he is not. He does not even know how to chase his dreams. He cannot even fully control his own body. So how can he be a god? Seeing that Xi read from a script, another question arises. Li Zhanshu, chairman of the National People's Congress, had earlier met with Putin in Vladivostok, but he did not read from a script. The content of his speech was to support Russia and offered assistance. But now the content of the latest speech by General Secretary Xi is not at all like the previous one. This is dangerous for the Chinese state, as is customary in the Chinese Communist Party. Even if the party is in a fierce struggle, it is united in its external actions. But why is there no unity this time? Outsiders are confused by what they hear. Li Zhanshu is the third in command of the party. Does Li represent the CCP? Or does Xi's speech represent the CCP? Which is the real political statement? Such inconsistent actions are dangerous. If the West analysed Li's words to formulate a policy, China is really at risk. A series of policies against China would be launched. Acknowledgement of China's support for Russia, the immediate introduction of sanctions against China. China will not be able to move forward in the international arena. I will be watching how the CCP will make remedial measures. This is a big issue. I do not know how others analyse this, but from my common sense, this is a big deal. Western countries will like to make a big deal out of it. This is an opportunity for them to take advantage of it. In addition, Russia's arrogant attitude is annoying. The West will use this as an opportunity to make a big deal out of it. Li's words are magnified to no end. This is my public comment. But my private opinion is, why did Li make such a statement? He did not speak according to the script. It should have been a consensus within the party at the time. It was the result of many meetings and discussions. Otherwise, there would not have been a Sino-Russian alliance. This was the conclusion of all the discussions. So when it came to the meeting between Russia and China, it is natural to say what had been discussed. The situation has now turned upside down. The CCP is becoming anxious, seeing Russia defeated. China was afraid and took a step back. The party Central Committee changed its policy in time, maintaining a neutral position. Xi Jinping's speech was neutral. Therefore, it differed from China's previous statements. The Chinese Foreign Ministry did not alert Li at that time. Not a single message was conveyed. To stop him using the party's mindset to make statements. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs did nothing to discourage him. They made this unforgivable mistake. They did not inform Li in time that he had to remain neutral. It is a pity that Li is not capable of assessing the current situation. He originated as a small county official. A few years ago, a friend told me he could not even speak Mandarin well. It is sad to see that there is no talent in our country. We should all be glad that China's attitude towards Russia and Ukraine has shifted back to the old neutral attitude. If the Chinese insisted on supporting Russia, the West would have taken advantage of the situation to target China. The country would have suffered serious losses. Another sign is that if there is a split in opinion within the party, and President Xi goes abroad during this period, many people speculate that the outcome may have been decided. The layout of the 20th Congress may have been finalized. But it is hard to guess. Various commentators have many different confusing views. As the situation continues to evolve, different from my previous comments, there seems to be a consensus within the party. The CCP's constitution stipulates that there should be no cult of the individual, to prevent a repeat of the Maoist disaster. Therefore, the party constitution was amended. Once a leader becomes the core of power, it becomes a cult of the individual. According to the latest information I have received, individuals are not allowed to be the core of power within the party. The power of the party, government, and military must be separated. No concentration of power in one person. Unfortunately, I received this information. Of course, it is not confirmed. Xi will likely remain General Secretary and Chairman of the Military Commission. He will only hand over the presidency. I do not think that this is an ideal arrangement. As a historical figure, the leader of a great country, a man must be able to hold on to his position and then let go of it. Back then, for the sake of the stability of the party, General Secretary Hu, he retired at the end of his term of office. If General Secretary Xi can follow Hu's footsteps and retire, the party would be able to develop smoothly and avoid power struggles. Everything is done in accordance with the party's rules. It is not for personal interests, but for the party and the country. Mr. Xi often talks about the original intention. As a citizen and a member of the public, who still holds a Chinese citizen's passport, I request Mr. Xi to keep his original intention. For the sake of the party, you must act in accordance with the party rules. I am not asking you to sacrifice yourself. Many people are happy to see that. General Secretary Xi completes his personal mission and retires with honor. To have completed a historic mission. This would be a blessing for the party and the country. What will be the outcome? You really have to ask God. There is no way for us mere mortals to know, but this God is not the Christian God. It is the God within all men. It is God's business now. Goodbye.